Love you back, it's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. We gotta get out while we're young. Cause tramps like us said that we were born to run. Yes,
All right, all right. It is 6:32. It is July 18th. It is Thursday. Just like that. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. Take a look at the disclosure, and we'll get to today's morning call. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. This is your 6:30 club where we work on our process, feeling good, moving along. I start to try and uncover where the active cash flow is to make for the day, what the narrative is, what's the current active sequences, is there a rotation, is there a change, what should we be doing, etc., etc. And we try and have some fun. I don't know, maybe today we have a happy hour. With that being said, let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. Is anybody awake? There we go. We got some guys rising and grinding. We got Scotty Gids in the house. Good morning. We got Allison Hassan, EK Santo, Bascott William Myers from Caracas. No, I'm sorry, it's Jose from Caracas. AC 2000. We got Space. We got Russell Tucker. We got Robert Herricks. What up, Blair? We got Mike. Mike's always doing a good job contributing on the VTF Alpha team with Blair. I'm not going to take it. I usually don't mention everyone. What up, Big D? We got Tony Wallace in the house and Jack. Sorry I missed you at the standard. Next time I'm coming, we're having a Red Dog sandwich, and we might have 1 or 2 IPAs. Just let me know a little bit earlier. All right. So here we are. Yesterday you see a lot of headlines about, the biggest down day in tech since 2022, the biggest down day in the semi since blah, blah, blah. And I got to say, I don't toot my horn, but I like to be long these things. And I basically made money yesterday in what was deemed the biggest downdraft. So it goes to show you can look at signals and actively you can maneuver. I actually made money short the IWM yesterday. Yes, I started fading the strength around 222, which we went over on our little powwow with DP and Derek, and gave you a Red Dog reversal sell to add to and maneuver. So anyway, let's just go over this real quick. All right, so you take a look here, you take a look at let's just go right to the SPYs. There's the SPYs. So if you see right here on July 16th, which was 2 days ago, the SPYs were basically back to the highs after making a nominal new high Monday. So with that being said, okay, first of all, I think the SPYs are going down to the 550, 551 area, but we'll see. Right now, the SPYs are up a little bit. Doesn't mean it's happening today or tomorrow, but it just feels like that should happen. But we'll see. But that's where we went up to. Did the Qs make a new high? No. Okay, the Qs have been leading pretty much for months and years, let alone the last, quarter. And the high in the Qs was made on July 11th. So you had a lower high at 501 and then a lower high even, 2 days ago while the SPYs made a high. So right there, that told you have a divergence in the Qs. Don't be heavy in mega cap tech. It's vulnerable, and a lot of guys probably made money decently short or with puts. So now, you have your low here of 481. I would think that if they try and rally us back a little bit, 486-ish, if it's going to be really weak, chances are 486 gets rejected. Where the Qs right now are up, not a lot actually. The Qs are off the highs already this morning of $1.78 at 483. So the Qs are at 483.54, which is right there. Okay, sometimes, depending on how long it wants to take, they'll push the envelope back to where the gap pivot is and fill it and go things further. Look how long this took. This took 3 days of choppiness after this big bearish engulfing bar to then roll over. But anyway, I'd be careful in tech. Earnings, well, you have Netflix tonight, which could dictate things, but I don't think overall, I think basically, if I actually see this, if you look at this is like a left shoulder. This could be your head on the way to the neckline for a better bounce, and then everyone, who knows, but that's like a long-term vision. But 486 is one spot, 488 is the next. So, but a lower high here gave clues not to be heavy in tech. So now let's go to the semis. Okay, the semis, if you go to the SMHs, look at that. Semis made that high right there on June 20th. Since that, we've been pretty tactical. Then if you take a look, you had this little false move, right? Look how fastly that was rejected, and then didn't even make an attempt to get back to that high or that high, earlier this week before, this breakdown. So overall, we did get to the 50 days, so it is trying to do a little bit of a bounce, but overall, that gave you clues not to be in the semis. So when I talk about clues of the market, I'm not talking about listening to the people who play traders on TV, even though I go on TV once every 2 weeks. And there are some smart people out there. You look for clues from the market. So I could see a little bit of, a bounce attempt in tech in the semis while the rotational trade needs to come in. So let's take a look at the IWM. Finally, the IWM gave you a red dog reversal sell, okay, which I anticipated a little bit. Why isn't the chart updating? Come on, you're a little slow. There you go. What's a red dog reversal sell? Okay, well, let's go over a red dog reversal sell. Those of you know that I wasn't in the movie industry, so red dog reversal is not a movie or some kind of bad position. It's a way to catch a counter trend move after a big after a big move. So I don't like saying move twice, but anyway. So if you remember, I was on with Liz Clayman right in here, and I was buying the 201 calls. So I bought the IWM 201 calls, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't catch the whole friggin' move. Anyone who says they caught the whole move, I would stop following them. They're full of, SHIT or sugar honey iced tea. Anyway, I caught it up to about here, okay, which was 215. That was good. 3-day trade. I love 3-day trades. Then you had a little push higher. I was not involved. And then on this day, I'm like, you know what? I bet you a lot of people were shorting for a retest of this area. They're probably caught. So into this move, I started to short the 222 calls, the 224 calls, the 225 calls for like $1 each. So it helped my average cost. I didn't just short the IWMs. And then yesterday, okay, if you remember, we were down like $1 or $2, and then finally it pushed through 224.86, went to 226. Definitely probably squeezed out a few guys who couldn't handle it. And then on the Alpha team, like, you know what? Now this looks cooked. Okay, so from that, most people who didn't do what I did, shorting premium, because not everyone has that kind of margin, they got short and they were risking, about $1 and change and wound up making some pretty good money. So now what? Where's the IWM this morning? The IWM, when I looked before, was down 20 cents. It's only down 16 cents. Some guys like, hey, Red Dog, do you think we pull back to this 219 area or 215 area? Maybe. How do we get there? It's got to get below and stay below 221.61 first. So sometimes you have an inside day before that, or sometimes you just get continuation. So I would watch this 221.61. If it gets below it and you're looking for a little bit more downside and you think you want to short it, well, that's your spot. Or you short a little bit of a bounce, shouldn't really get much above this 225-ish if it's going to, continue to the downside. So we'll see. Right now I'm short premium. I'm not short the IWMs, but I'll look at it. If it does break this spot, I might look for some cute cash. Oh, and then right around 219 is when I'll be thinking about looking for a way to rebuy this from here, potentially down to 215. But it's never that easy and that clean. So that's the thoughts there. Perhaps Q's head and shoulders into September. I kind of think that could happen too. Like Mike has been doing this a long time. Sometimes we have little visions. So if I'm having a vision here on the Qs, maybe this is like your left shoulder. Maybe this is your head. Maybe you get a little bounce, but we continue to this being the neckline, and then we bounce back up to here. Or sometimes you get a slanted neckline, right, where all of a sudden, you bounce back up, and it's going to take a long time to build. But I would think there's still this void here where, after a bounce attempt, it gets to this area, this 476, 473, but this is just a little bit of a vision. This it takes days. It's only July 18th. We have a long summer ahead. We have a week or two to earnings, and we have Netflix tonight. So if you're playing Netflix, some guys are buying calls. I did not do it. I am staying away from Netflix. I have no FOMO here. You just pulled in from $6.97 to here, $50. If you think you're missing something, what you could do is buy like a 700 by 720 call spread to be involved. Otherwise, I don't think there's any need here. As far as mega cap tech, a lot of these names all broke the 8-day. They all broke the 21-day. They're just tactical trades. You should just be looking to, fade moves or buy into extremes, look for signals. No need to be sitting in them. If you think, like I said, you think that all of a sudden earnings are going to be great for mega cap tech that start not this week, besides Netflix, the week after, it's always good to buy some options into the belly of the beast. So, as a joke, not to say it's a joke because it's really not funny, like into this move down, I'm like, you know what? I made a lot of money on these options. I lost a little bit of money on these options. Just in case, I'll go out and buy the 202.50s for earnings because they're a lot cheaper, after this move than when it was up here. But probably doesn't work. So when I play earnings or options for earnings, I usually just do lotto plays. I like to risk $2 to make 10. Otherwise, I don't really need to be in earnings plays, or I look for post-earnings strategies where you get a pro-earnings gap, you could trade versus massage a trade, etc. But anyway, right there is when I got stopped out of my shares. So sometimes I have shares and sometimes I have options. When the stock's acting special, I have usually shares, okay, and options. When I'm anticipating a move that that it's just a thesis, I usually have options, and then when it turns on, I have options and shares. Anyway, but right here is where I got rid of my shares, and that was nice to get rid of it. Same way with Meta. At least you had clues, okay? This Meta trade wound up being gross as hell. It broke above and failed right there. I was long a lot of shares thinking this was a retest, got stopped out of 528, and I haven't bought the stock since. Into this move lower, kind of similar with Amazon. I'm like, you know what? We're $80 off the highs. Let me buy little options for earnings. Just lotto plays. Sometimes they work. How many times do you go to 7-Eleven and to get a lotto ticket and win? You don't that often. You get a little bit more lotto plays in the market, but you're better off getting your 6-pack ice and going in the barrel. But anyway, you can learn a lot from losing trades. I do that all the time. That's why I showed you how someone was like, oh my God, how did this happen in tech? How did this happen in the semis? I'm like, what do you mean, how did this happen? For the last week or two, it's been building up by having, selling strength, lower highs, relative weakness divergences, and yesterday you had your downside. Now it's probably going to be a little choppier. But so you're right exactly there. As far as crypto, someone's like, what about crypto? It's hanging in there. It's, it's just in the middle of the range. You had that big gap up, to start the week. I actually bought this and I made good money there, and I'm still hovering. It'd be nice if this IBIT can get into this area. I've been starting to trade the crypto names a little bit more again. I think this coin is very interesting. I think this coin, if Bitcoin's going to be back above 71 or 73,000, going into the fall, I would think that this takes out 255, 263, 283, and it's a lot higher. So I'm going with options because this stock is kind of crazy to trade at times. I think you could still look at Mara a little bit too. Mara had its 3-day move, now let it go sideways a little bit, and that could be something to stay with. In the CLSK, this also has a nice channel. This has been under consolidation since February. So if you're looking for crypto stocks, those three they went from the C list, which they were on, before, to the B list, and now maybe it's on the B plus list. And if it goes sideways, maybe that could happen. Mister, I don't really trade that. As you can see, I haven't charted this in a while, but yeah, Mister's just a hard name. It's hard to trade these $1,600 stocks. That's why coin is crazy enough. Let alone if you want a cheaper stock or a stock that trades in a lower area. That's your Mara and CLSK. But yeah, didn't they just announce a split? Anyway, I'll post this too. This is how I go through the charts. I look at it, I draw my lines. It's pretty easy. Just using your eyes right away. This is your gap up. As long as it holds this gap up and goes sideways, maybe you could be buying it. And if it clears this spot, that's your next spot. It's not really rocket science. I know everyone puts a gazillion other things in there. I'm not going to write this in now just because by the way, if you look at CLSK on the weekly, look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart's really juicy. Everyone's like, well, it just came from here. I'm like, well, if you look at the weekly chart, it looks like it's consolidating in front of a very big level. So if the Bitcoin move is real, meaning it gets above 71 to 73 and goes to 85 plus in the fall, which is what Tom Lee and some of the big crypto crazy bulls are saying, then this is going to have a hell of a move. So just something to keep on the radar. I'm just trying to give you something else to keep on the radar. How about NVDA? NVIDIA is broken. But at some point it'll be buyable, which I actually bought calls on the close yesterday. So here's another little treat for you. So the SMHs, right, made a new high for a second here. Okay, they made a new high on July 11th, and then a lower high, and then that happened. Look what NVIDIA did. NVIDIA gave you its sell signal on June 20th, which I keep going back to that date, June 20th, and then made a lower high. Didn't even get above this high. So the SMHs got above the high from June 20th, and NVIDIA didn't. For the entire year, almost, NVIDIA was leading the SMHs, not lagging. So right there, that told you, better be careful. This isn't your papa's NVIDIA or your son's NVIDIA. And then right in here, if you remember, on Monday, I was like, it's getting very tight. If it breaks 127, get the hell out of Dodge. I know a guy that as soon as it broke 127, he bought a few hundred puts and wound up making $500,000 in the trade, and congratulations to him. Other than that, though, it broke right there, lost, high, lower high, broke right here to 127, and boom, right to the 50-day where it's trying to bounce a little bit. I didn't want to take it long just because I had no idea what Texas TSM would do. So what did I buy? I bought just for a trade the 122s. So, that'll be up. I think I paid, I don't even remember, $1.70. I'll probably get $2.70, whatever. At this point, resistance now is 121.85. There is a gap here if it wants to try and fill it. But either which way, high, lower high, inside range when everything tried to bounce and then broke this key area. And you were all forewarned. Hopefully everyone either was out of the way or made a lot of money short, because there was a lot of money to be made short if you're an active trader and like to do that. Anyway, what's this high here that I just said? 121.85. So some people like, hey, Red Dog, I wish the semis opened down huge. I could have been a buyer to go red to green. I get it. I like that trade also. So now that everything's opening up a little bit, they could push it a little bit more or not. This is your, this would be your gap pivot. Here's your gap fill. And this is where if the bears have any power, which they might, and if they want to keep the semis down for a little while, it should not get back above, this area. You even into this, you had different spots. Like this was a nice trade if you remember. But then this said, lower high, took out the prior low, power. And then if you use your retracement rules, it never got up above 50% of this and rolled over. And then you could do that with 1,000 other semis. I'm not going to get into it right now because it's 6:49. Split. Oh, Mike says Mr. Split is August 8th. SMH 2 times double engulfing candles. Very, very. I agree. That's rare. You've been doing this for a long time, Michael. I know. Anywho, some of my value friends like Red Dog, you need to look at the Jets. I'm like, Jets have not won a Super Bowl. I'm like, wait, that's the other Jets. I'm kidding. The sports team has been probably just as frustrating as the Jets ETF. But anyway, you did have a big move through a descending trend line here. So if the Jets are any good, they better start recruiting and drafting. No, you would think it holds this little area. And I would not go with individual airline names. Airlines typically suck to trade, excuse my French, but if it can go sideways and you think that you want to put some risk on and value is going to continue and the economy is not that bad and sentiment's horrendous, well, then that's what the ETF for Jets look like. Tesla needs time. I kind of got lucky yesterday. This is what Tesla looks like. Look at this wedge right here. Why'd I get lucky? Because I played it from red to green yesterday and wound up making money. Same way the other day, I traded it from green to red. And then I just stopped trading it, which has been working for me with Tesla. And then it went down 8 and I didn't try and buy a dip once. So now what? You had your money move here in 191, 198, and then you could have picked and chosen any spots to get out. And some guys got squeezed short before that. And now it's very tight. So Tesla is up. What's Tesla up today? Tesla is up 3 at 251. So it's right in the middle of this apex. So one way or another, within the next, I don't know how many sessions, this is going to make some kind of move either below 245 back to this area and retest it, or be a little bit better. To me, it kind of feels like we're more in a corrective phase this summer for the next 2 to 6 weeks. So it would be hard for this to clear to the upside unless there's something that happens. But anyway, I would think, though, by some point towards the end of the year, that, if you look at the weekly chart of Tesla, that this will hold this area, and it could wind up working its way back towards 299 to 312, especially if, I don't know, the design of the robo-taxi and Felon does something, and I don't know, the EV market. But either which way, Tesla's part of the Trump trade now. Tesla, as soon as, Trump went like that after it nicked his ear, he's like, I'm endorsing Trump. And the word is, not my word, is that the Republicans are going to have a good showing in November. And, Elon's going to be part of that. So it's better to be part of the group that wins and the rhetoric positive around it than not. So I would think that Tesla that was at 414 or 336 or here, that's just been going sideways for so long, might get a little halo of being more of a technology, automation, robot, autonomous driving versus a lethargic EV market, because some of these damn cars are overheating and stopping on the highway, or when it's really cold out, the battery freezes. So they might start focusing on the other side. But anyway, at this point, it's probably going to take some time to hang out in here. But I would think that this is going to stay on the go-to list between now through the fall. All right, guys, I'd be careful today. Today you might get you get some kind of bounce back after yesterday's downdraft. Put in, your levels here. On the Qs. By the way, on the Qs, it just didn't even get to the 8-day. That's how big this rally's been. But on the Qs, again, I would write down levels prior. So this way, you don't want to short too early, because some people who short too early don't hold for when things turn, and you don't want to be playing a bounce into a spot that, is going to be resistance. I would think this 486 is a spot that if you wanted to short a bounce in the Qs, I'd wait till about this spot. And if it gets to this spot and you want to sell premium, then maybe you sell some premium higher, but wait. Otherwise, it could be tough. And with the IWMs, if you think that this red dog reversal is going to lead to a move lower, it's going to have to get below and stay below this. Or you could just say, hey, you caught your trade, don't trade it, and then wait to see how it reacts here, or start accumulating if you think that this weekly chart is going to go back towards the highs, with Mr. Tom Lee saying there's still another 30% of upside. If that's the case, 232, 244 aren't too far away. This now turned into a different level here from the other night, 226.64. Anyway, feeling kind of fresh today. How are you guys feeling? Anyway, with that said, cheers. I appreciate all you guys. It's been today's, oh shit, no wonder why. 7 weeks since I had my valve surgery where they repaired my mitral valve. I was on a table. They put my heart in neutral. They deflated my lung. It was a pretty crazy 3 days. And now here I am 7 days later with you guys. I was in the sauna this morning. I didn't do the ice barrel today just because I didn't have enough time, but I'm starting to jog uphill versus just walking uphill. I have a race on in November to get myself mind right, goal focused, so this way I could train, drink a little less, and be back doing things I like to do. Find some things you like to do and make sure you work towards doing them. And if you're not having a good time out there, I don't know what the hell you're doing, because, life's too short in the summertime. It's July 18th. Get in the mountains, go to the beaches, start sweating a little bit and put some goals on for the fall. And I appreciate you. Hopefully you're doing well, and we'll see what transpires today.